Hi everyone, welcome to Casual Watch Talk Sunday Social. It's been a while since I've actually hosted this one. Hopefully, I remember how to do it. Welcome to everyone. Welcome, Bill, and Sympathy for the Bezel. Thank you for I was on Bobby Leggs's live stream on Friday, which was a lot of fun. But this week we're going to do hit or miss. We've each picked three to four watches, and we're going to decide whether they're hits or not, new watches. But before I do that, let's do a wristwatch check from the panel. So, Dave, do you want to kick us off? You're in the hot seat, or no?
Don't start with me because I'm currently looking for a watch.
Okay. Chris, do you have a watch on your wrist?
Party foul.
Yeah, I have the Romain Jerome spacecraft on today.
Ooh.
Oh, wow. Okay. Is that the time on the top, or is it on the side like the...
Yeah, so this is designed by Eric Giraud, and the movement is made by Ingenieur. So I'm not a big fan of it's the same speech I give every time someone asks me what I have on my wrist when I'm wearing this watch. I'm not a big fan of Romain Jerome, but this is essentially the team that put together a lot of MB&F swatches. So Ingenieur make the movement. They're using a base module, so a base movement like I think it's at a 2892, I believe. It could be even lesser than that, but and then Ingenieur make a module that sit on top of it. And then the design itself was done by Eric Giraud. Eric Giraud designed the HM5, basically all of the horological machines, and even I believe the legacy machines too. He's designed so many MB&Fs, and then Ingenieur make all the movements for a lot of those brands as well. They work with Your Work and all these other brands. He's designed watches for Vacheron and a bunch of other major players.
Oh, wow.
And Ingenieur's just been bought by Moser.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool. Hot off the press. Oh, awesome. No, cheers for that, Chris. Mark, do you want to go next?
Sure thing. So I have a not quite in focus Christopher Ward C63 Sealander Elite. Little titanium watch with the pop-in crown, and I think one of the nicest versions of the light catcher case because it's slim and titanium. The darker color just suits the light catcher perfectly. Not a watch I got on with when I first bought it, but I've come to respect it an awful lot since.
Yeah, I reviewed the Colchester with that similar push-button crown. I don't know whether it was... I didn't love it, I have to say. I didn't love it, but I think that also the case was carbon, so I wondered whether it was a bit stiff because of that. But
mine is very, very stiff to wind. I think if you wore it every day, you'd never complain. But because the crown is very thin, there's not much to grip, and it does seem to be stiff to wind. So I just give it just a few turns to get it started rather than fully wind it, because I don't know whether it's me or the mechanism.
The Colchester I had was similar to that. If that's two two samples.
Yeah, because that's got the push button titanium crown. It's a lovely idea, but I don't think it's as good an idea in practice as it is in theory.
Yeah. Okay, Todd, how are you?
Doing well.
Doing?
So I just, somebody said how to do this in the comments before, and I'm actually tested it and it works. So I'm wearing, if I do this, well, it was working.
Maybe too close. Maybe
too close. There we go. It's coming. Gosh, I tell you what, when we go live, nothing works. There we go. This is a 1970 Seiko speed timer. This is a 7000 series. As far as I know, this one, I'm going to really try to tempt fate here. Look at it. Oh, wait. It was there. Oh my gosh. Like when I did it there. Todd, get a better camera. Dang, it was working earlier. But anyhow, oh, look at that. There it is. Yay. So it even has the original paint bubble on the sweep hand. You can see it. That's your stopwatch hand on these. And so I don't think this one has ever even been broken into. It's a little draggy on the time grapher. I'm going to eventually have to have it done an overhaul on it, but it's on its original speed timer bracelet. And so one of my several speed timers that are in my collection.
Dave, can we go to you next, or do you want me to go?
No, you can. I grabbed something. So
Oh.
I have the prototype Barrage Lensman 2. If I can stop that reflection from wherever it's coming from. This one.
Wow, that's really
Not just
cool.
me then.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh wow,
I love that movement.
Yeah, to do K2 micro rotor in-house movement.
Yeah, beautiful.
There we go. So that's what I was wearing.
Is that a carbon case or is it?
No, it is. It's a exoskeleton case. So the let's see, the black part here.
I see it
And
there.
also
Okay.
you can see it here. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's hard anodized 6061 aluminium. So it's like that's in all the black part you can see here. That's all aluminium, and then the polished kind of section round it is grade 5 in watch language, titanium bezel and titanium case back.
Wow.
That is super neat.
And it's pretty thin. It's like
Mhm.
9.9 mil.
Wow.
So yeah, pretty thin.
That's the same
There we go.
thinness as the Christopher Ward 12.
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah, I didn't bring out the big guns. I'm wearing a G-Shock, but I'm wearing the new fitness G-Shock. So it's the square with
Nice.
the heart rate sensor and other fitness features on. I've been working on the review all day. I was hoping to get it out today, but my Final Cut just crashed. So we'll see how far I get with that. But I was very kindly sent in. I bought the black version, then very kindly sent in the blue version. So if anybody's interested in it, I'll be comparing it against the equivalent Garmin, which I think is the Instinct that I judged as being the Instinct. So we'll do that. So awesome. Well, welcome everyone. We are going to do a hit or miss show, so we might as well get started with that. So let me pull up who we've got first. In fact, I'm going to start with Mark. I'm going to start with you. You brought to the table the new, I believe it's a new Pan Europe, which is amazing because this line's been out for at least 5 or 6 years, and I didn't think they'd produced any new models.
I think the one I was looking at was from Monochrome. It didn't look anything like that.
Well, this is the John Player special.
That one's part of a little mini series they released a couple of months ago. I think there was 3 watches from memory. There was the Pan Europe, there was a ladies' watch, and something else. I can't remember. That's it. There's this one, and there's another. I think there's a third one. Can't remember. They called it something. Can't remember what it's called.
It's like it's like this with the chronograph, like the Ventura, and then there's a Ventura with no chronograph.
That's it. There you go. And I think one of them's quite small.
Oh, this one, here you go, on the bun strap.
Jazz Master, that's it. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, not the Hamiltons I was thinking of, but they are. I will extemporize. I actually quite like the one you're showing, although it wasn't the one I was expecting to talk about. But that's a very nice watch. $1,300.
Okay.
I'd say they're well worth the money. So
didn't they come out with some sort of like champagne dial version?
That's the one I was thinking of, Chris. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there was a pistachio. I think they called one pistachio. Yeah. It was a kind of greeny dial, and there was one with a kind of brownie tobacco dial, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah. Sorry about that, but I
should have sent you the link. My fault.
Yeah. Well, this is weird, isn't it? Because you'd think that they would have had those all linked, wouldn't you? At the bottom here, you think they would have had, instead they're showing all the Jazz Masters for some reason.
Never assume the Swiss watch industry will make anything logical ever.
Well, let's do before we dive off this. Let me do a quick search, and then at least I've done my duty as a host too.
There you go.
There we go. Okay, so here we go. So this is, which one was it you were thinking of?
Like I said, I would search on Monochrome.
Okay.
Not on
I
Hamilton's
don't know if it's
website.
I don't think the 2 new ones are I think they've been announced, but they're not available yet. I think possibly.
Yeah, there were live picks and pricing on Monochrome.
Okay.
There you go.
There we go. Okay,
that's
so
the boy.
See, that's nice.
Okay, yeah, I don't mind that.
It really is quite 70s, I think, but overall as a watch, I think it just kind of works. So I was, just looking for
that one. Oh,
Yeah.
Well, the mint, yep. So they've done some great jobs with the colors. I mean, I don't think it's too adventurous as a design, but it's harmonious. They've got some good strap choices to match the dials, and it's a Hamilton. You can't really go wrong.
No, they got it. Well, yeah. So it's got it in euros there. Oh yeah, USD 1,195. That's not bad, is it at all? And
Not bad at all.
it'll be a ETA, won't it? In there that
Yeah,
they've
some sort of
oh yeah,
power.
and they've added a little bit of extra power to it.
Yeah,
Cool.
they make them run a little bit slower. It gives them a 80-hour power reserve usually.
But you know, in terms of how, you know, I do like it when watch companies think about the strap matching the dial, and sometimes they just get it perfectly right, and you don't ever want to change it. The pistachio or the mint green would count for that. I think. Why would you change it? It's just works as a harmonious piece with the supplied strap.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're calling that a hit then. Anyone not thinking it's a hit?
nah, Pan Europe's a win.
Yes,
like
they're wonderful. They wear big. That's I used to have a Pan Europe chronograph. It's one of my favorite watches. But it's just big, and so you got to have a wrist to pull it off.
That's the trouble with the cushion case as well. But if you can pull it off, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, they're lovely.
It's one of the few OEM watches that come, or one of the few watches that comes with an OEM strap that's like a rally strap that actually I like.
Yeah, they're a difficult design to get right, and the OEMs, you're quite right, Dave. I agree that they don't, but that one seems to work.
Awesome. No, great pick. Okay, next one up. Let's go in reverse order here. So Todd, here you've got the SLA059. Wow, that's an interesting dial.
Right. So, I mean, I guess this isn't as new as I had originally thought, but look at the dial. Do a zoom in on the dial. Essentially, this is a Marine Master with the 8L movement, which is a fantastic movement. But if you can get a really good, there's like a scalloping design on the dial. And it's
this has been out for a few years, right?
There's another one I picked too that's a little bit more newer, but yeah, you're right, Chris. Has been out, I think, 21.
I had the blue. They made a blue dial version of this. It came with a set of cufflinks.
Yes, in fact, this one does too. This one has a set of cufflinks also. And if you can get, but it's hard. You're not getting a really good shot of the dial. It's just the dial to me is just. I mean, Seiko's known for their dials, right? But this one is just fantastic.
It's like a clear, glossy red, and it has these little waves or like scallops, I guess, like scallops, I guess maybe.
Yeah,
and
now you're getting it to show up a little bit. It's like you're right. It's like if you drop the pebble in the water, you're getting these ripple effects, scalloping type things in a way.
It looks almost like imagine a sort of a wax seal kind of thing you'd seal an envelope with.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Sympathy for the bezel saying, not a fan of the crown tube issued with these.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know there was a problem with the new ones. I mean, the vintage ones, you always have to deal with, like the Willards and stuff like that. You have to deal with crown tube problems because they get stripped over time. I just didn't know there was an issue with the new ones.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, well, next up, so that I think we're going with a hit on that one. Next up, Chris, did you have a pick before I go to Dave?
So, just off the top of my head, there are a few watches that the Porsche design, the Chronograph 1, I think, that came out. I'm a fan. I recently did a video where I was saying that I think Christopher Ward, Porsche design watches are for enthusiasts. I think that a lot of people don't think that, but I think they are an enthusiast watch, and they make some pretty awesome watches, and this is a really cool watch that they came out with just recently.
Okay, so this is like the Top Gun watch.
It is, yeah. So they came out with a special edition just this week. They charge a lot of money for these, though. They do charge a
lot of money.
Yeah, well. Yeah. And they're ETAs in them, are there?
I believe this one is probably an ETA that's been modified.
Okay. Oh, awesome.
I think for the price, it's actually a miss,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion. But I think that that's the special edition at the top of the but I think if you get these on the secondary market, if you buy these used or in the gray market, they're awesome.
Yeah, they are actually lovely watches in the hand, but they're way too expensive new.
That's it.
If you want a watch that looks basically the same as this for decent money, look at Zin.
Yeah, I was about to say. It
I
does
think
look
the
very...
144 Space Master, I think it's called, is it?
Weren't they all being made? Well, Zin weren't making them, but I think they were all being made by when they first came out. They were Afrinia. What was the original? There was a group that was so they basically this was the first PVD coated watch ever.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the first time they ever put a diamond light, a PVD coating on a watch, and those original versions are highly collectible now. You can't, and they were using a Lemania movement, and they moved over to a Valjoux movement. So there were a lot of watches that looked like it. So you could have got there were Tutima and a bunch of other brands made, Zin and a few others made watches that looked similar. Tag Heuer, actually. So
yeah, Dan Henry makes a modern version of this, doesn't he? Dan
Henry does, yes.
Yeah. I think if you look at I'm pretty sure it's a Zin 144 looks really similar, and it's arguably they do it in a black coating as well, but they do it. All their black coated ones are done on the tegimented cases, which makes them really tough. There you go.
Yeah.
Quite a similar vibe to it. And if you look at the DLC coated version of it, it looks amazing as well, and it's probably a third of the price, if that.
Oh right, okay. And the Zins, is it? Oh yeah, So there's a GMT version. Is that GMT hand? Yeah,
it's a few different versions of it, I think.
Yeah, awesome. So we're going for a hit for the design, but a miss on the price.
Price is crazy.
Seems fair.
Yep.
Dave, you're up next, and we're going with this Maurice Lacroix.
Maurice Lacroix Pontos S has finally been reintroduced. No, it's not that one. It's the ones that have just released again. So
okay, let's have a look.
Have a look on Fratello probably, or somewhere. Okay. That's the chronograph. It's just the straight Pontos S.
Okay, let's have a look then. Okay.
There you go. See the orange one? There you go. That one.
Yeah, there you go. Oh wow.
That's the boy.
Okay.
Yeah. So they did these back. They did these back in 2013, I think was the last time they did them, something like that. But it was at that point it was a 43mm 600-meter diver helium automatic release valve on it. And just as it got popular, they decided to focus on the Aikon and just actually completely deleted it from the catalogue. But I had one. In fact, the very first Red Bar collaboration watch was the original of this back in 2013, 2014, something like that. And they brought it back, but it's now 42mm. It's a bit thinner. It's done away with the helium valve. It's only 300-meter waterproof now, which is absolutely loads for anybody, to be honest, unless you're a pro diver. But it's thinner, smaller, deleted the helium valve on it. A few different finishes. The little crown at 2 o'clock is like a screw-down crown, but you can unscrew it and that rotates the inner bezel. So it's like an internal bezel in it, but you can lock it in place because it's a screw-down crown. They are inexpensive, I think. If you go at the bottom, around about €2,000, I think, something in that neck of the woods. Probably tell you near the bottom.
Oh yeah.
There you go. But the 2,100 is it on rubber?
Yeah, 2,100. Yeah.
Yeah, and that'll be all including taxes and stuff. Just for a nice looking, decent quality, I think that's where Maurice Lacroix really excel. Okay, a few of their designs are a little derivative of some stuff for sure, but they're good value. Watches well made, and actually this one doesn't, to me, this isn't really derivative. This is kind of quite unique in its own right. It doesn't look too much like anything. The Aikon for sure has got a bit of a AP vibe going on about it, but I think this for the money is an absolute banger.
Yeah, I've never looked at Maurice Lacroix, seriously.
I've looked at them. I quite often thought the Aikon designs were a bit over the top. A bit too shiny for their own good in some cases. I mean, very, very well made, but I do quite like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on the Aikon. Funnily enough, Ricky loves the Aikon. He's got a bronze one and he loves it. For me, it's extremely well made, but just a bit too Bobby Dazzler. It's a wee bit shiny, a wee bit kind of like check me out.
Yep.
Super nice. So quick release bracelet, quick release rubber straps, all of these little bits, super nice on it. But the nice thing about Maurice Lacroix is they actually do have some real high-end in-house movement stuff that they do at the high end. Yes, it's pretty punchy, and sometimes their watches at that level are quite physically big, but they're a brand that I think gets a hard time as a bit of a kind of they're a cheap brand type thing, when they actually should get a bit more credit than they do get.
And I think sometimes it's the name. It just doesn't sound right in English.
Yeah. And they're a new brand. I think, if I remember rightly, they only started in the 70s or the late 70s, early 80s, something like that. They're not an old brand.
Yeah. But, they do make good stuff. Their quick release mechanism is very good, but I think it's proprietary. So you have to buy their straps and bracelets because nothing else fits.
Sure.
Awesome. We just got a super chat in. Mohammed Ali, thank you so much for the very generous super chat, and congratulations on the new watch. I believe you got the call. So yeah, thank you very much for the very generous super chat. Okay, so we're going with a hit. We're going with hit for this one. Yeah. Okay. In the essence of time, I'm going to jump to mine. We've got a few of Patrick's picks. He couldn't be with us tonight because he's going to IKEA. So we'll see if we can get to his picks first. So my first one was let me check this one. I've got mixed feelings about this. This is the Nevada Grenchen. This is their diver watch. I've got mixed feelings because I think it's going to be small. It's 38 millimeters, but I love the design of it. This is the first watch from them. I mean, I like their Chrono one, but this one I just love the design of it. It's completely sold out, but it was quite reasonable. I think it was less than $1,000. But yeah, a big fan. I think they've really captured that vintage dive watch aesthetic. I mean, and people have been doing it to death, so they've got a lot of reference. But I think they've done a kind of a really good job of that.
It's quite a cool looking watch, kind of bit middle-ish as well in some ways, that kind of whole 70s vibe. That's quite a good looking watch.
I mean, for me, it's a bit too vintage. It looks a bit cramped with all the lines they've got on it. So I'd call it a miss, but then that's not the kind of style of design I like anyway, so I was bound to.
Yeah.
It's just not a miss. Not a miss for me, but a bit meh. Probably.
Okay.
I find something. I think I'd find something better to spend the money on.
Yeah, it's not something that would be top of my watch buying list. That one.
Yeah, I've asked them if I can review one, but they're a bit tricky to. I mean, Chris, you've reviewed them before, haven't you, Nevada Grenchen?
Yeah, I released the video Friday where I reviewed the Super Antarctic.
Okay.
So that's their Explorer style watch, which I have to say I really liked. I thought it was really nice, and for the price, which is around $700 and change, I think it's on bracelet, which is it has a SoProd movement inside. I think it's like the 2824 equivalent. It's essentially a clone from SoProd. I think they make solid watches, and they have. I mean, for that price, if you're in that price range or around $800, there are brands like Baltic, which are, I always bring up Baltic as a brand that I don't like personally, but they make watches that are derivatives that are homages of other brands, like picking and choosing, whatever, and they cost $700. So there's a brand like this out there. Of course, it's a revival. This is not, it's not been in continuous operation, but they're making watches. They're using Swiss movements. They're making them very true to the original. Now, I don't know if this was an original design, but something like the Chrono Master and the Depth Master, their Fly and Dive and all this other stuff. the Super Antarctic, the Antarctic Spider. All of these are exact reproductions of their original watches in very similar sizes to the original too. So they're not like messing around with it, coming out with a watch that's 43 millimeters when it was originally a 38 millimeter. They're doing it pretty spot on, and they're not charging a lot of money for them. So I think it's a hit from my perspective. I think it's a good looking watch, and when I compare it to other brands out there releasing similar types of watches without any sort of history behind them or anything like that. But again, it's a revival, so it depends on how you look at it.
I mean, they're sitting in the price point that seems to have been vacated by Christopher Ward and Fairer Universal, that sort of 500 to 750 pound euro price point that brands that used to sit in there have kind of just about escaped from. They seem to be decent watches. I'm just not a big fan of the 70s watch design.
And they've started collaborating with a bunch of different. They did a Worn and Wound collaboration. They also did a collaboration with Time and Tide and Second.
They did a Fratello as well, did they? They did a Fratello.
Yeah,
I think.
they did.
I think so, yeah.
They're really trying to be part of the watch, community and collaborating. And they're not. I mean, everything is overpriced, but I mean, as far as what they're selling and what they've spent on the name, probably a lot, And a really good example is Tournek Rayville. That's another brand that was revived, right? That's a brand that never really existed in the first place. Well, kind of did, right? And they revived it. They came out with the reissue of what was the 50 Fathoms. That was a rebranded 50 Fathoms with the Tournek Rayville name, and they charge $1,000+ for that watch, which is powered by a Seiko movement. So, I mean, there's a lot of brands out there doing cool things, but they try and charge, especially if they're using a name, they try and charge a lot more. So, Synchron, another one. There's like a million of them.
Yeah, great point. Okay, so we're back round to Mark now, and the heavy hitter.
Well, somebody had to, Dave, and if it wasn't you, it was going to be me. Yes, the new Aqua Terra World Timers, available in green with a strap or a bracelet, and in my favorite, titanium. So these are, as it says on the screen, 43 millimeter World Timers with the laser ablated image of the globe from the North Pole. These are alternative colorways to the blue that's been out for 3 or 4 years now. The blue is a great watch, but it's a bit too in your face for my taste. I've tried it on a number of times, but I think the green and particularly the black gray on the titanium, definite winner. You have to be able to cope with the size, but these tone down the overall look very, very nicely. I'm a big fan of this, and I just wish I had 11 grand for the titanium version, because that's a stunner.
Yeah, I love the look of this.
Yeah, they're easy hits for me, but I can't wear them. They're just too big for me.
Oh yeah, they are big boys because they're 14 odd millimeters high as well. So you really have to be in the right frame of mind. Yeah. But for me, the blue with all the gold was a bit too in your face. The green is a good compromise, and the stealthiest, the classiest version for me is the grey titanium.
They are lovely, but they are too big, and that's from someone that owns one. I've got the original blue one, and it is just too big. But the titanium one is lovely. I tried it on last week, and it is very good. It's very good. If I would always say to folk, generally, even if you're not going to wear the bracelet, buy it on a bracelet, because if you ever decide to resell, most folk want a bracelet, but it doesn't wear well on the bracelet. It's one of the few that really does wear badly. It wears even bigger on the wrist on the bracelet than it does on the rubber strap. And then the OEM rubber strap with this little metal insert, the little seg, which is part of the strap, not part of the case, doesn't help. It actually looks best if you just put it on a leather strap, and you get that little gap where you can see through it just at the lugs. That does help scale it down strangely a little bit.
And I don't even think the titanium is available on a strap. So,
Only on the rubber, isn't it? There's no bracelet.
yeah. But I've admired these, tried on the blue, but I could see myself, if I wasn't already in love with the super racing that's coming out towards the end of the year, I could see myself getting on a list for one of these.
Yeah, awesome, great pick. So we all decided it was a hit. Awesome. Okay, so next up, Todd. This is the Tag Heuer. This is a slightly skeletonized Monaco.
Yeah, it's the skeletonized version of the Monaco. And there's different flavors. There's the I don't know if it's a PVD coating, but there's the black, and then there's a titanium, which I believe that one is. And I put this on there because I don't know how I feel about them. You have an iconic watch, one of the most iconic chronographs that's out there, and so I think sometimes manufacturers say, well, can we do differently? And so if you're Omega, then you make a zillion different versions of the Speedmaster in various forms. So they skeletonize this. It's pretty expensive, about 10 grand, I believe. So I just don't know how I feel about it, but I think it's interesting.
It's awful.
That's very close to Bamford's Blue, isn't it? And I know he's done a collab with, because that's like the Dark Lord, isn't it? Sort of, I guess.
Yeah.
Skeletonized version.
Nope. It's a hard no.
It looks like it should have a Spider-Man on the dial somewhere. With but I actually quite like these. I'd say these are a maybe to a no rather than a hard no, but I know my taste in watches is appalling. So
for me, the Monaco should just stick with what it's good at, which is the smallest size, time only, classic dress watch, and stop messing about trying to be a sports watch or be something that it's not. Just that classic little small, whatever it is, 37mm, black dial, silver, like kind of appliques. Perfect little nice dress watch. Anything other than that, it's just ridiculous looking. I think even the picture of one of the Formula One drivers who was given it in the last week or so as like his watch, and his face looked like he'd just been fed like children's sick. It was brilliant. He was not happy.
Here,
I feel
please eat this hairball.
I feel like Tag Heuer constantly are trying to modernize the Monaco for one reason or another. They've made so many concepts of the Monaco. I remember I was at Watch Time, and it was a long time ago, and Tag Heuer was actually there, and they had one that had like a chain drive. It was a weird looking watch. They handed it to us. We were looking at it, and there was oil coming out of the back of the watch. I was like, "What the hell is this?" And it was, they're always trying to do something. It was whatever.
Awful.
So okay, so we're going with a bit of a miss on that one. Chris, did you have one before we jump on to today?
Yeah, there was a micro brand called, I think it's called Arken, AR.
Yep.
Is it AR?
Arken. Yeah. ARCKEN.
CKEN. Yeah, they came out with a GMT, which is using a Miyota movement, but for some reason I read, and I don't know because I read it very briefly while I was at work, what I probably should have been doing work, and they were saying that they used a Miyota, I want to say a 9015, and I guess they used the date somehow to create a GMT out of it rather than using a 9075, which is already a GMT, that's a traveler's GMT. I have no idea why they would do that, but they made a dive watch a little while ago, which is a bracelet that's very similar to an overseas, or it's meant to look like an overseas. Obviously, nowhere near as nice, but they aren't incredibly expensive. They're like $700.
That's it.
Yes.
That's it. Okay. So I can only find one on Hypebeast.
This is his new one.
They just came out with a new one, and it's a GMT. And that's it right there. Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. Really cool watch, and they're going to put it on the same bracelet. I think it's a really good looking watch. I like the diver. I like this a lot better.
So
Oh,
I've
wow.
seen both of these. Like the kid that kind of started. I say kid because he's half the age of me. But he's a nice guy, and he started it during lockdown, I think, with this diver. It's all titanium bracelet. It's pretty inexpensive. I think 500-ish, that neck of the woods. If even that. And this is the new one that I think is just literally dropped. I go 429 quid, so it's probably about $400 in US, something like that as well.
Yeah.
For a,
And
for
they're
a
not
little,
making that anymore. The diver, they've sold out of them. They will not. He said he's not going to make any more of them. And now this is the next one. Yeah. So 500, the 559.
yeah,
Is it
and
GMT,
it's a
is
nice
it?
size, like 38 mil, stuff like that. They're actually, I saw the prototype of this maybe 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, and yep, it's a cracking little watch for the money. Absolutely cracking. I
Oh.
mean, you're right into what Seiko 5 territory really at this level, isn't you? Seiko 5 pressage type money, and it is a little bit different. They're really nicely made.
Do you
I
know
think these
what?
are
Date. This is the date at the bottom.
So you've got the date at the bottom, you've got running seconds, you've got the GMT hand, and you've got the day-night indicator.
Do you know anything about how this why they use the 9039 or 9015 rather than using the 9075?
To be honest, he did what he did. Why did he? I'll be lying if I can remember why, but I did ask him this, and he had a reason for it, and I can't think exactly what it was, but there was some. He did have some reason for it, and I can't remember for the life of me what it was. I could
That
find it
button
easily
on the
enough.
side of the case, that is to change the GMT, I assume, right?
Yep.
So maybe that's the reason. Maybe because of the date function and the combination. I don't know. I thought it was cool. I think it's first and foremost a good looking watch, and then the idea that they've built their own module and went around using the 9015 and did something a little bit different. The functionality is a little bit different, and typically when you're getting a 9015, the date is at 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, wherever the hell you put it. But they have a date wheel, which is a little bit different as well, because that's not something that you see. So
Yeah.
that's
I
a
just
good one.
overall thought it was good.
Good
I
pick.
agree. It's a good we hit that one. The only time
Yep.
you ever really see that date function is usually on some Seikos. They tend to use that a little bit on pressage stuff.
Yeah, awesome.
The
Great
power
pick.
zero, and then it looks weird, but yeah, otherwise.
Yeah, you usually think it's the running seconds or chrono hand or something. You're like, oh, it's the date.
Awesome. Okay, Dave, you're up next. This is the Norqain Freedom 60 Chrono limited edition.
Right. This is a brand that I haven't fully made my mind up about them yet.
I've
Because I
reviewed
can't
one.
quite. Yeah, everyone I've ever handled, don't get me wrong, they're really nicely made watches. They are going to be, they are 4, 5, 6,000 US dollars, so they're not cheap. The aesthetic on a lot of them, I'm not really vibing with, but that's a personal thing. There's lots of folk who do like them. They've got access to the Kinesi movements for their non-chrono models, which is a bang solid movement used by plenty of quality brands. They've always been too big for me. This is the first one they've done where I've thought, okay, 40 mil, sensible size for a chrono. The what's me calling it? The Tudor chronos are too big as far as I'm concerned. They're nice, but they're too big. I think this is not a bad looking little watch. Okay, it's still a ETA base, I think, on these as well. It's a modified 28, 24, whatever the hell it is. But I think this is not a bad look. This is the first one they've done in a while that I thought, okay, this isn't too bad. And it's a nice alternative to Tudor. And folk will start going, oh, yeah, Tudor's a much better brand. Tudor's a nice watch as well. I don't think this is any better or any worse made than a Tudor, but it's something a little bit different. And I quite like the ice blue. And it's 40 mil for a chrono. That's a kind of sensible size for me. It's very wearable for a chronograph.
Yeah, I reviewed the diver. Is it the adventure? The adventure. So they've got it's a brother and sister sort of. I think it's a family affair. So you've got Ben and then Caroline. They very similar to. They took a lot of inspiration from Breitling, and there's also a link. I forget. There's also a link with Ulysse Nardin as well. I don't know whether their father worked at Ulysse Nardin or something, but they're very, very good. They're most like a Breitling, I think, in terms of their quality. When I reviewed one, that's what I liken them to. The thing that I always find funny is that I'm on their email list, and they call the people that own them Norqainers. So like, oh, hello, Norqainers. But to me, that sounds like Narcan, the thing to stop people overdosing on drugs. So it always like is like a weird, like Norqainer sounds like a, it's anyway. It's always weird.
I think it's a really weird brand because it's like it's absolutely a Swiss brand. It's a Swiss, kind of organization. There's a lot of money behind this brand. Like one of the reasons it's where it is because there is a huge amount of money behind it. So they do play a little bit on you're a couple of kids that have got this brand going. Yeah, with a couple of hundred million Swiss francs behind them as well, which tends to push the boat along a little bit. But they do very much seem to be aiming at a US type messaging. I don't think the message they put out really gels with the European market, and maybe that's sensible because the European market's so tied up, and I think the US market potentially is more open to a quality Swiss product that's aimed at a US consumer. That's how I very much see this brand, and I think they're doing quite a good job of it.
And they are very good quality. Like you say, a bit on the pricey side. The Never SGMTs that are down on the next row down. I've seen them at Wind Up. I'm surprised they haven't gone to Watch Time, but they've been used to be at Wind Up, and the quality is there. Never quite pulled the trigger because they're $4,200, but sort of things, the older design like the Never SGMT, it's kind of like buy it now before Jean-Claude Biver tells him it's the wrong design for a luxury brand.
I was actually just going to bring that up, like the Jean-Claude Biver thing, like the whole bringing him on. That's probably the only thing I don't understand about this brand because I don't know. I feel like every brand, I don't know.
I would go on the basis of think about money.
Yeah, well, I feel like he's ruined more brands than he's done good for, in my opinion. I know a lot of people absolutely, he's like some sort of god in the watch, but I mean, like Tag Heuer, Zenith, like every Zenith was in a really bad spot, but they haven't really. He hasn't really done so much great stuff for brands that he stepped in, when with the Royal Oak, and then ever since, like, what did he do? Hublot? I mean,
Blancpain.
What did he do for that? I mean, he brought them back. There's a bunch of nice dress watches, but he came out with a 45 millimeter. Well, he came out with a 40 millimeter, the original 50 fathoms, but he put like a steel bezel on it because he wanted it to look like a yachtmaster. So I don't think he did the right thing then. I don't think he's done the right thing with many of the brands that he's joined. And then, like, they make like a big deal when they brought him on. It was like,
interesting.
Well, he is famous and he adds credibility, whether you agree with that or not. I think he'll try and move them further up market. And like I said, if you like that Never SGMT, if you like that vibe, buy them now because I'm sure they won't survive the Biver regime. They're just not the watch I think they aspire to be as a brand.
Okay, well let's. I had to do this one. This is my next one. It's the Spider-Man, the AP. They did the Black Panther. Now they're doing the Spider-Man. This is slightly more skeletonized, I would say.
It's a lot better looking.
Yeah, you think than the Black Panther one because it wasn't skeletonized, was it? The Black Panther one.
Black Panther was illegible.
It was a little bit.
Yeah, you couldn't read about Black Panther at all. I couldn't tell what time it was.
Okay. All right. Well, enough said. Then I've stunned the crowd.
Well, but for me,
I will say.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, Dave. You were saying.
Oh, sorry. What I'll say is this: I actually managed, by fluke and circumstance, to handle the Black Panther last week.
Oh wow.
And it is epically well made, as you would expect from a very, very expensive AP. Yes, you can, knock a little bit about why use a superhero. There's probably a little bit. It's a bit of the Black Panther was a strange one to start with, but I think it was falling into various tropes for various reasons. The Spider-Man one, though, the Black Panther disappeared. This will instantly disappear, and this will be a future classic in the same way as the Genta Disneys and the Mickey Mouses are classics nowadays. And people will laugh at it, but it will be it will be as well made as the Black Panther. Most folk will hate it. 250 people will be lucky enough to get one, and it will go up in massive value, and it's as simple as that. But it wore amazingly well on the wrist. I was surprised by how cool it is on the wrist.
Wow.
And I really wanted to hate it. I really, really wanted to hate it.
Awesome. Okay, well, next up, I think. Oh yeah, Mark, this is your last one. Oh, I hadn't clicked on it. This is the
the purple haze.
the
And
purple
what
haze.
I'm calling the purple haze.
It won't even load.
Well, it's
Yeah,
on something. If it's purple haze, it's like Hendrix, right? There's some pharmaceuticals involved.
Yeah, this is another of the Oris Holstein edition watches. And if you're going to do purple, you're either going to do the Christopher Ward purple on the 12, or you're going to do this. This is purple, and it's not ashamed to show it.
Just one
Yeah.
word.
I wonder why I wonder why it was not loading. It's so you've caused such the buzz for it, Mark. that people are hitting this website up and down. They've been waiting for your view on this watch.
I mean, it's an Oris. They haven't done a lot with new cases and different designs. They've been playing with color, but this Holstein edition, I'm not sure I'd buy it, but I'd love to see it on someone's wrist because I think it's epic. I just don't think it belongs on my wrist. But I'd love to see it in real life because this just look at that. I mean,
It's awesome.
When the drugs wear off, my eyeballs will hurt, but for right now, I just think it's amazing.
It's expensive.
It's genuinely an awesome watch.
Yep.
Wow.
What do they want? 4,300 US.
They want.
Yeah, because it's the Cal 400. It's their in-house movement that's in it.
Okay. Oh,
Which, that in-house Cal 400. It's actually a pretty good offering. What do you get? 10-year service life, 10-year warranty, 120 hours power reserve. It's pretty decent in-house movement, to be honest, on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And in something like that, so long as that color doesn't go to the SW200 range, they just keep it in the Cal the Cal 400. I saw that, and I'm kind of, I guess, a little bit bored with some of the Oris offerings because they don't seem to be doing anything really different. It's tiny iterations in terms of design. But I saw that and I thought, yes, once my eyeballs stop bleeding, yes, that is perfect.
Yeah. The case back's quite cool on it as well.
Yeah, case back's cool.
Yeah, Chris, you saw the purple 12, didn't you? Did you see the?
Yeah,
purple?
I still have it actually. Yeah.
What's that purple like? I mean, I saw your video, but obviously it's hard to tell, isn't it?
It's less purple than this. It's not as purple as the Oris. It's it's got a fume pattern, so it's a little bit darker than your typical purple dial. Like something. This is metallic. That's not metallic either, so it's not really as bright. I really like the purple. I was thinking about buying the blue dial with the in the titanium, and then I think I would end up getting the purple version. I really like the purple. I really like the 12 titanium. It's really nice. The only thing is I wish it was in grade 5 titanium, but
can't afford to finish the cases for the price. Grade 5 is much more expensive to finish to that level.
Absolutely, but they should have put a coating on it then, because it's already scratched. They let me borrow the watch. It's already scratched. I've not worn it. I've very, very, very sparingly just worn it, for just to try it out. I wore it I think, one day to work and came back just from desk diving. There's scratches on the bracelet.
Yeah, I don't know if Christopher Ward have ever had a titanium watch with a hardened coating on, and I don't know why. It's something they haven't done, because they've done grade 5. Most of the recent ones are grade 2, just to get the light catcher case finish, light catcher case shapes. But I don't know if they've ever done a hardened coating. Not all the titanium coatings are proprietary. So maybe they could, maybe they don't. Maybe just people aren't complaining enough.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if people say, I love your titanium watch, but it scratches too much, can you put a coating on? A couple of years' time, maybe they will. It's hard to know.
Cool. Okay, so Dave, your last pick here is the Isotope.
This was a cool one.
Isotope are just a cool brand. So this is a guy called Jussi. He is Portuguese, but he lives in the UK. And he has been working on this brand now for a good few years. And he started off quite high end. He was doing like a jump an hour model. I think it was 2,000 or 3,000 UK at the time. So, you know, it was a reasonably premium product. Realised that was maybe not the right place to start from, and kind of rejigged himself and came out with a few different ones. But this general model, which is the Hydrium, has really like kind of hit a bit of a vein for him. So he's done a few different iterations. He's done the Will Return, which was based on that kind of classic US bodega, you know, the little kind of Will Return sign with the clock on it. That kind of aesthetic to it. He's done the Judge, which is this black and red one. You know, he's done a few different kind of iterations, the NASA one, etc., etc. But this one is his first kind of collab with Second, who's done this kind of thing with him. You can see that he's rejigged the logo from Isotope to basically, it's meant to, it says oopsity, so like as in oops, a mistake, when they've kind of misspelt it. And it's just a great collab. But this watch itself, very wearable, quite a distinct, unique shape and feel to it. And again, not stupid money. You know, he's I think they range from 700 to 900, depending on exactly which model you go for. Pretty competent 300-meter certified diver case on there as well. Swiss movement. You know, just a decent little package for the money.
This is one of the nicer ones. This is a definite hit. And of course, he did the Alba with Scottish watches, didn't he, too?
Oh.
He did, and that was actually, to be honest, that was not by design, because he did that one because he's got a friend who is a lecturer at Glasgow University, and the Isotope, which is where his brand name and his logo comes from, the Isotope was actually discovered at Glasgow University, and he did this one, which is the blue one there. And he was actually planning to call it the Alba anyway, because it was kind of like a homage to the fact the Isotope was discovered in Glasgow and Scotland and everything else. And he did it with a white enamel dial. And he actually just said to us at the podcast, oh, do you fancy kind of launching it with us? And we thought, okay, that would be really cool. So it was kind of, it wasn't something that was designed from the ground up, but it's a cool product. And this Norblad one as well is really nice when you see it. When you see the free diver, the pictures of the girl, it's a free diver that's doing it. She's absolutely insane, but pretty cool.
A definite hit.
Yeah.
Oh, going into the ice. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
She's free diving into the ice. Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and she's like, when you watch the videos of her, she's like, if you want the definition of someone that's hard, she's hard.
Wow. Oh, well, yeah, awesome pick. Before I go on to my last one, Chris, did you have another one?
No, that was it. I can't think of anything else. I'm trying to, but
I'll go with the last one then. And this is Mondaine, which they did that Swiss the rail clock. But this is like the first new one I've ever seen them do. I mean, they've all done variants of the Swiss clock, but now they've got this more sort of cushion case design. They made a chronograph, which I don't think they've ever had before. I think the only complication I remember them having, other than the date, was they did that the stop second, didn't they? Where it would stop at the top, which all the clocks do. They all stop at 12, this rail clocks, and then they all sync and all go at once. So yeah, I think this is quite I think it's family owned as well, Mondaine. Another brand that's not escaped the butchers over at Pagani who rip the classic ones off. But yeah, for $450, probably I imagine it's quartz. I actually prefer the quartz. I reviewed one of their mechanicals and I didn't like it very much. I think it belongs quartz because they are the clock themselves. The Swiss clock is electric. But yeah,
I quite like Mondaine as a brand actually. They kind of sit in that weird place between fashion brand and actually a real watch, but they're definitely not a fashion brand because they're I wouldn't say they're particularly fashionable, and the name means nothing to anybody unless you Swiss railway clocks. But they've been there forever. You tend to find folk who've got them just buy them because it's a very clean kind of design to them. But the folk who've got them love them. And actually, that little stop to go, isn't it? Stop to go, it's called. That's a cool watch.
Yeah, I think they had a problem with the mechanisms, because I think they stopped making the quartz mechanism for it.
They did. They used to work for about 2 or 3 years and then just randomly stopped dead.
Yeah,
I think it was putting too much load on it because it sat there and then it suddenly sprang forward.
Yeah, it's a shame that, isn't it? Because that was actually, that's most like the clock, and I get it. I bet it was quite a good. I bet it looked quite cool. We have one request from the audience here, which is the Mido Multifort TV Big Date, but I can't actually find it. Can't actually find it. Yeah, sorry about that. I can't actually find it. The Big Date. But anyway, there you go. Awesome. Okay. Well, any other picks? Did I have another one? Oh, no, I didn't. Cool.
There was one other watch that I did think of is the Syosa from Citizen, that release. That's been a release for a while, but now it's released in the US. So that's just one that was just announced.
Oh, we love a Citizen. What's it called? Citizen
Tsuyosa, TSUYOSA, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, yeah. This
There you go.
The Citizen.
The Rolex OP wannabe for very little money.
Yeah, with integrated bracelet. They've hit on all of the trends at once.
With the president style bracelet, with the open case back, it
looked just like a Japek Antarctique.
Yeah, these are a win all day long. Don't care what anyone says. $400, $500.
Yep.
They look good. They'll be Citizens, so they'll be bulletproof.
Yeah, perfect. And this is a darling of the YouTubes, isn't it? I think you've definitely reviewed one, haven't you, Chris? And I know Generelli got probably 100,000 views, if not more, on one when she did it.
The yellow one's a win.
I think I had the yellow. I really want to review the green. I think the green is for me. I like the green dials. I like green.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And someone's actually quite rightly put up the new Tissot Cedar LS. That's an absolute.
That was
banger
interesting.
of a watch.
That was one of my picks, and I forgot to. I put it in the thumbnail.
I love that watch. That I love.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's when the Swatch group want to basically give everyone a royal, get it right up you where the sun don't shine. That's what they do, and that watch literally goes, "Okay, everybody, this is how you do it, and good luck."
Yeah. Darren, you saved my skin there because I actually put this in the thumbnail, and then I forgot to actually have it as one of my picks. Yeah,
look at that. Carbon case, Powermatic 80 movement, silicon in there. That for $1,000. I mean, I think it's just over. I think it's 1,075 US. It's like 900 UK. Good,
300 meters of water resistance. It's just great.
I mean, look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Even the strap, they've managed to retain that kind of similarity of the strap back to the original 1970s one, which is and it just shows you Apple Watch straps, good luck with that, because that just shows you it's basically an Apple Watch strap in it, but it was done 50 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, this is
Yep.
great. 950. But are they sold out or they not? They must be sold out, mustn't they?
I think the first batch went in and went straight out the door.
I don't think they didn't release them in the US yet because they haven't officially gone on sale. It says get notified on their website, I think, but I don't think it's actually gone on sale yet.
Yeah, they're out, certainly out in the UK. The UK went on sale this week.
Yeah, the UK, but I don't think they officially released them in the US yet.
Yeah,
Because immediately when I saw that they had them in the UK, I went on the US website to buy one and I couldn't. So
yeah. And that yellow one, I think the yellow is an absolute winner.
Yeah, I think so as well. I like the blue,
Agreed.
but I don't like the forged carbon
Yeah.
that they've mixed in with the blue.
Well, because it's got the kind of little inserts into it, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
Although
it's got-
talking of just that band reminded me, I read an article. It was quite interesting. I'll give you the link, Sam. About the largest purchaser in the last 2 years of CNC machines from Switzerland to use in watch production was Apple, and they only use the CNC machines for the little button that holds on the rubber bands, and they bought 800 Swiss CNC machines for making those little buttons because their strap business is now a $10 billion a year business for straps alone.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that makes the watch industry look positively diminutive.
Yeah, and because the new one, the Apple Watch Pro, I don't know if it's called that.
Ultra.
The Ultra, that's got its own set of very specific bands. They look like rock climbing harnesses, don't they? They look awesome. I see that in the wild all the time. That new Ultra. I know 2 people at work that own it. Awesome. And then somebody's mentioned the G-Shock.
The Isotope. Yeah, the Lovely Sea. They were really nice. Special editions. They do them. I think they do them every year or every other year.
Yeah, so I put a request through on Chrono for the Square. Somebody had one. Somebody was selling one in Japan, but they weren't like, we have to say it says request availability. They wanted like $300 for it, and I thought it was a little steep. I really like the Square Tough Solar, and then I'm not crazy
because they did these a couple of years ago in like clear, if I remember right, like clear and blue. I think they were. It was like they did the Frogman. It was in a kind of all clear case with a kind of a mid electric blue kind of inserts on it. It was really nice.
Yeah, I think they've done a great job of that actually.
I like a yellow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that was all. Yeah, cheers for that. John came in right on the wire there. Very much appreciated. Well, guys, thank you so much for being very active in the comments. Apologies that I didn't get to a lot of comments. We were trying to get through the hit or misses, but a big thanks to everyone on the panel. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you. There won't be a Tuesday show, but we'll see you next week for the Sunday Social. So thanks, everyone.
Have a good one.
thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.